Good evening and welcome back to the We Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How you doing out there on this glorious Wednesday? It's another great day, great weather. A lot of stuff that's unfurling out. We got to get to right away. A couple of quick notes that I want to say. Yeah, the YouTube channel for Monday's show, I guess I got strike or something like that because I had a copyright, and then there was a couple other things in there that I found out about. They actually have it being critical of my opening theme of what I have, that it's not copyrighted. I mean, it's just ridiculous of the music that I play or any of this other stuff that it's on their actual YouTube music. It's just hilarious. So they had struck me there. So I'm not going to give in. I basically fought them, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, that show will not appear on YouTube, but you can find it on Rumble and Pill.net. YouTube still got problems. I'm not monetized there, so I don't really give a fuck. But I mean, at this point, I mean, I just have it as a backup, and I'm going to continue to do what I do. Yep, screw tube, exactly. No one else, whatever, gives me these check marks and stuff like that. Tonight's show, you can't believe a goddamn thing. Yeah, we're going to get into all the propaganda, all the subterfuge. I mean, there's just, you know what? I don't know what to make of all the stuff. I mean, these narrative pulls and shifts are all over the place. Everything looks rigged, upside down. Everything is fixed, manipulated, tampered, fraudulent, dishonest. Everything's prearranged. There's an artifice everywhere that's going on. We'll talk about TSA. Are the airports going to be closed for a reason? Are people trying to dip out, escape? People throwing that out there? Art of no deal. Is there the art of no deal? President Trump getting backlash from Axios, Mediaite, many different news outlets calling him a propagandist, pushing out theories that this whole 15-point plan was bullshit. He's pushing back. They're pushing back. It's a fight all over the place. Ambiguous signals all over the place. We're just going to cover so much of this stuff that really unfurls out that you can't make heads or tails, and we're going to try to do so tonight. So let's welcome my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's up?
You got it, man. All the crazy stuff trying to pump out propaganda.
Yeah.
Well,
Joe
there's
Kent.
fake news everywhere you go, man.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the whole point. It's so ambiguous that the signals that are popping off left and right. I'm just going to go right to it right away. Like, share, and subscribe. It's important, especially on YouTube. That's good. Help us out. You can help us out on pill.net. Drop us gold pill, comments, questions, concerns. You can help us out on Rumble, Rants, buymeacoffee.com/wearerise. You can help out Marshall. Ko-fi.com/surfdog74. Let's welcome in everybody over and say hello to Trump One. What's going on? Thank you for the cookie. Wood USA, what's going on? Thank you for the 217 gold pills. How you been? Surf Dog. Who else is here? Patty B. Sausage Launcher. What's up? Trusty Turnip. Yep, ScrewTube is ScrewTube. You bet they are. They don't change. They never learn. And it's kind of the same old, same old. I'm not even monetized. And, they're trying to stick up my ass about all this stuff and trying to break me. But I don't really care anymore. What's up, True Terran over here on Rumble? Linda Perina on YouTube. Anna Cobb. James over here. What's going on? There's a lot of people over here on YouTube. Good. That's good. Good to see everybody over here. Let's get to the conversation at hand. So President Trump, we're in the negotiation stage. He's got like 5 days. There's days of like supposedly rest. We're trying to figure out through this mediator that they're working with. Apparently, they have some type of what they call interlocutor. Let me see if that's correct, because I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce this properly. Interlocutor, an unnamed, respected Iranian that's a go-between, a mediator, an arbitrator, so to speak. But that they call it an interlocutor. And so what it is we don't know who this person is. A lot of people are saying in some way, as this article you'll see from the Standard, are you negotiating with yourself? This is funny. This is, again, what I'm saying about all the subterfuge, agitprop, and stuff that you can't determine what's going on. Are we actually being told the truth about anything? I'm not undercutting the Trump administration, but again, everything, the art of war, the wag the dog, the fog of war, all this other stuff comes into play. And you're trying to ask yourself, what is going on here? Well, Iran is basically saying you're talking with yourself because there's nobody that you're communicating with. We don't even have open lines. Hell, I have open lines and no one calls me on Friday anymore because they're scared to talk to me. Is that the same thing that's going on in Iran? It seems to me in some way something is off. Who is Jared Kushner and Steve, what's his name? Wilcock? What's his name? Whitcock? Whatever. Witkoff. Yeah. They're two Israeli spies. Of course they're not going to want to speak to them. You think he wants to speak to them or whoever they are? I mean, the invisible men. I mean, it's just crazy. 1,000. And while we're gearing up and the news is putting out, you got 3,000 troops ready to go, 1,000 paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne. Everything is nuts. Are we going to land on this island? As Lindsey Graham liked to associate with in so many, well, we took Iwo Jima, at the cost of 7,000 lives, 75,000 wounded, but that's okay because he doesn't fucking care. You don't have any kids. He's gay. He don't care about anything. Okay, let's put your children out there and watch them get crushed up in a meat grinder. But I digress because in some way, I just try to understand what is happening here. Iran has mocked Donald Trump over his claim that the U.S. is in negotiations to end the war. They're saying this, that there is no negotiations. Iran military leadership issued a scathing statement and it claimed the Trump administration sent a 15-point peace plan, which we'll cover in the next article. Has the level of inner struggle reached the stage of you, Trump, negotiating with yourself? The top spokesperson. I mean, this is funny. You have to consider this is funny in some way. The top spokesman for the Iran's Joint Military Command, Ibrahim Zolfikari, said on Iranian state TV, people like us can never get along with people like you. Yeah, that's not good. You know, when you say something like that, you know, it's like me saying, you know, people like me and many of you can't deal with the minority class in this country because they're never going to be civilized. They're a bunch of fucking animals, feral animals running around, murdering, raping, killing. And until you actually put them down or put them in jail, nothing's going to be done about it. It's about killing Whitey. So when you make a claim like this and you say, we're not going to make a deal with you, not now, not ever, and pumping up the volume, and so to speak, pump up the volume. Remember that? That was a great movie, great song. But when you think about that, what does that tell you? That tells you I'm seeing agitprop all fall from the skies. Trump told reporters at the White House on Tuesday, U.S. was in negotiations with the right people in Iran to end the war, adding the Iranians wanted to reach a deal very badly. Okay, I'm done with this in some way. What is comical to me in some way is that we're not being told who we're discussing. It's for the sake and the state secrets and to protect this person. Why are we trying to protect this person? Are we protecting this person or persons from Israel hitting them? Because they've done a marvelous job of wiping out as many people as they possibly can inside the regime. I'm all for it. It's an armed conflict. I don't really care about it. I'm not on Iran's side. I'm not on Israel's side. I can tell you that either. So I don't really give a fuck. But overall, when you look at this base preponderance of all this stuff, you just kind of question the veracity of everything you're seeing. It's like, and that I think that article was so funny, Marshall, that was throwing it back out at the administration. And I wonder the Standard's putting this out there. I mean, am I the only one who feels that it's funny and it's comical in some way? It shouldn't be feeling that way. We should be serious about this. There's about to be a groundswell of troops, supposedly, allegedly, purportedly going to hit the Craig Island.
Sources say.
I'm not even, I got to say purportedly in some way because I don't want to look like one of these batshit crazy people. Your thoughts, Marshall?
Yeah. I pictured Trump in the evening up in his room there, and he's got a couple little puppets on each hand, and he's one of them. And the other one is the Ayatollah.
That's funny.
They slaughtered everybody.
Yeah.
So Trump's like, who do I negotiate? Oh, wait, I negotiate with this guy. And they're talking back and forth because it's going to go the way he wants it to go. That's who he's negotiating with, his own self. And that is
he's probably got a team of people from central casting that he's debating with. And he's trying to get some, and that's the whole point. This is, I mean, it's absurd, it's ludicrous, it's ridiculous. It totally is in a lot of levels, but in some way. You got to ask, if we've obliterated them from Kingdom Come, many of the people all over the place, and there's nobody left to really communicate with, who are we really talking to? How do you have any communication comms? Is there satellite uplinks? Are they underground, under bunker? There's still some people hanging around, all right, and they're able to communicate. I mean, what are they sending, smoke signals? I don't know. Is someone there with some sat phone underground? It is just, I just don't know what to make about any of this stuff.
He already said he's going to pick the leader.
Yeah.
He already said that.
He's going to pick the leader. This is great. So Iran reportedly makes, and this is what's driving independents, Democrats, even some rhinos, and maybe the non-interventionists like Kent, Joe Kent, and Tucker Carlson and other people. Let's face it. They're against the war. Megyn Kelly, all these people are against the war. They hate the war, what have you. They're against what they're seeing. They find everything they find is abominable. So Iran reportedly makes an absurd ceasefire demand. Listen to these demands. This is why I'm saying that there's so much purported propaganda and subterfuge that you got to look through the minutia to understand and say, wait a minute, hold on. So the ceasefire demands called for reparations and closure of U.S. bases. Right, that sounds like our black minority community in America. Give me reparations because I was brought over here as a slave. And then you got to rip down all the statues that offend me, like they did, all right? And they brought back Christopher Columbus, and they put it on federal property, which was smart. And then you have to do this and do that in some way. It's almost like they're reading liberal, progressive talking points to get their point across. And I think it's just, this is, again, another scenario where it's like, what is going on? Iran is making absurd demands in the ongoing back channel talks. Back channel, where'd that come from? Somewhere with a Q decoder ring. Talks calling for the U.S. to pay war reparations and close its military bases in the Middle East. Wall Street Journal and other media outlets, so they say, purportedly. According to Reuters, Iranian negotiators are demanding significant concessions from the United States. They want the U.S. to lift all the sanctions and allow Tehran to assert full control over the Strait of Hormuz, the world's busiest oil shipping link. Yeah. Good luck with that. In any talks with the U.S., Iran would not only demand to end the war, but concessions that are likely red lines for President Trump, guarantees against future military actions, compensation for the war losses, and formal control of the Strait of Hormuz. This is not the Confederacy that lost the Civil War. Sorry, buddy, this is not going to work in that way. So as a news agency is reporting, the unreasonable stance, unreasonable, I mean, that's a slight in itself, taken by the Iranian regime, or what remains of it after 25 days of war, shows that it's not serious about negotiating a ceasefire. The U.S. officials promptly dismissed this outlandish demand as ridiculous, unrealistic, the Business Daily reported. This is what I'm saying. So when you really take into context what I've been suggesting, what I've been positing out there, that the narrative pulls, the rug pulls, the shifts in so many ways, the guile, the duplicity, the manipulation. I mean, right now, I don't know what we're negotiating with or whom, but obviously there's nothing on the table to negotiate with. Let me get to the 15-point plan of these certain things that I know Caroline Levitt kind of talked about, hinted to today. She went after the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal for overreaching, over expanding and expounding on stuff of what the synopsis was for this plan, that some of these things were not put in place. But the main ingredients of this was Iran must remove all enriched uranium activities on its soil. That's obvious. Commit to permanently to never pursue nuclear weapons. That's obvious. 1, 2, and 3. Missile proxy limits. That means strict curbs on Iran's ballistic missile program, and to end and to support Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, or any other shithole, let's just say, militant group. Okay? All right. That's not bad. I like that. How about this one? Sanction relief in exchange for compliance for a 1-month ceasefire window. I think that's fair. If you could show to us that you are restrained and not want to hit 14, 15 other countries, hit Israel, or maybe hit us in right there in the Middle East, in the Gulf, we'll work with you. You show us that what is. And you know what? I'll get to the understanding of what this means, the practicality of declarations around the Strait of Hormuz remaining open and uncontrolled by a single party. I think that is a given. But what this tells me right now is that this is a window into peering into intelligence and information. He's putting this out openly to say, hey, look, these are more reasonable, valid scenarios for you. You want to decline it on your end? That tells me two things. They're not ready to surrender, and they're ready to repel borders even further. Well, they weren't ready to repel borders for the last 25 fucking days. So the idea right now is that what is the legitimate argument surrounding their demands? All right. And when are we going to see anything? Are we expecting to see a land incursion? I don't want to say a ground invasion, because if they're going to come in from paratroopers coming in, 1,000 people dropping in, dun, 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 and then you got some type of, seizing the island from land, sea, and air, Delta and Navy SEALs or what have you. That's going to be an interesting marine amphibious altercation. I mean, I don't know what's on the island. I hope that our troops are going to be fine. Your thoughts?
Yeah, somebody, I don't know, what was it? I think it was Dershowitz, as a matter of fact, was saying all kinds of, it's going to be terrible. They're going to get, no, it was another guy. It was, it was another guy that was former military, this older guy. I saw in an old video. Anyway, he's like, they're going to get destroyed taking Cargo Island, whatever it's called. And I'm like, well, would you rather have us go to Iran, which is like 1,000 times bigger? I mean, I don't know enough about the island, but it doesn't sound like it's a major, it's got what we want, what we would probably prefer, I would think. Common sense. So,
well, what would we prefer and what we need is because that island is the wholly invested interest of 90% of its energy.
Exactly.
And I think overall, and that is the conduit to the Strait of Hormuz. So in hindsight, it's probably going to happen. And that's as far as we'll go into that. And I think once we take that and we establish control, then we'll start to see these concessions by Iran. In fact, we'll probably see some element of surrender because they can't survive without any oil, any money coming in or not. And they might be allowed to dip out in some cases. I don't know, whoever they are. So it seems to me that that a lot of this stuff that we don't know, we don't understand, we can't process, it seems kind of like irrelevant at the moment. All right. And I think a lot of people are flipping out. They don't understand what's taking place, and they're utilizing a lot of different type of talking points that they feel in some way that the oil prices are high, they're spiking over $100 a barrel, that the resistance or no resistance to the Strait of Hormuz can be problematic. There's a global energy crisis on the horizon. Some people have said the U.S. has gone too far. Okay, so the U.S. has gone too far, but not Israel. How about not far enough, you say? An AP poll, North poll, showing most Americans think so. Victory versus ongoing escalation. So which one is it? That's the problem with these polling. You're not really sure how they're actually being manufactured out. The fallout in Lebanon with Hezbollah and Israel, that's going to be problematic. Does that fall onto us or onto them? And I think overall, rejecting this 15-point peace ceasefire, to whom it was, let's just say, who the bell tolls toward in this matter, whoever is there as a mediator to go through this, ultimately the rejection will change the market in some way. But President Trump, masterfully puppeteering the actual market in general by saying the word we're winding down, market is reflexive. Netanyahu says, we're going to wind up, hit them harder, and they're going to cross the line. Everybody starts to get reflexive. So the problem is that the gas prices, inflation, your wallet, the supply chains, oil shortages, price spikes, and rent are all going to be what? In the next month or two, going to be hyperbolic. All right? They're going to be higher, and we're just going to have to deal with it until we see a change. Did you know the Philippines, the first country to declare a national emergency, all right, of a national emergency over its oil resources and over the fact of its energy crisis? Is Europe not next? Is the EU, who has delayed a Russian oil ban due to the chaos and instability? Are we seeing declarations of national emergency based on an energy crisis that will leave a lot of these countries, or is it purposely done? Is it purposely done to stranglehold Iran, to cut off this? They make over $300 billion of money from the oil exports, and they use that to fund terrorism. I mean, we starved this baby out. We carved this thing up. My God, people will be coming to us, and we'll be making $300 billion a day, or $300 million, whatever ridiculous amount. I think it's $300 million a day. I think that's more a reasonable assertion. But let's continue on. Caroline Levitt claims Iran is looking for an exit ramp, says they want to talk. Okay, let's listen a little bit.
Day by day, the Iranian regime is being crippled, and their ability to threaten the United States and our allies is being significantly weakened. Their ambitions of building a nuclear weapon have also been crushed to an even greater degree than they were in Operation Midnight Hammer in June 2025. That's why you're beginning to see the regime look for an exit ramp. They recognize they are being crushed. Their ability to attack American and ally forces, as well as their ability to defend their own territory, is dwindling literally hour by hour. Following President Trump's powerful threat on Saturday evening, it was made clear to the United States that Iran wanted to talk. President Trump is willing to listen. As President Trump announced on Monday, the United States has been engaged over the last 3 days in productive conversations, which led the president to temporarily instruct the Department of War to postpone planned strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure only. The remaining elements of the Iranian regime have another opportunity to cooperate with President Trump, permanently abandon their nuclear ambitions, and cease actively threatening America and our allies. But the president's preference is always peace. There does not need to be any more death and destruction. But if Iran fails to accept the reality of the current moment, if they fail to understand that they have been defeated militarily and will continue to be, President Trump will ensure they are hit harder than they have ever been hit before. President Trump does not bluff, and he is prepared to unleash hell. Iran should not miscalculate again. Their last miscalculation cost them their senior leadership, their Navy, their Air Force, and their air defense system. Any violence beyond this point will be because the Iranian regime refused to understand they have already been defeated and refused to come to a deal.
I think everything is going to be based on if we do and if and when we take the Karg Island. Once we have that in our possession, then I think the game is over. We're not there yet. I mean, the way I'm seeing it, that there's going to be a next element of this phase for this theatrical masterpiece that we're in, and it's only going to get a little bit more emotional and a little bit more, let's just say, for some people, uncomfortable, Marshall.
Well, she said they're negotiating. They're like what you said at the beginning.
Yeah,
they're negotiating with who? Yada yada yada. Well, you're negotiating with who? The dead man at the door. You know, leave your party at the door, or whatever it is. It's a dead man's party.
Yeah,
the dead bodies are out front.
That's a good one.
They're, I mean, I remember you playing that song a while back, and it was a classic.
It's one of my favorite songs. It's a classic song.
It's a fun song. I grew up hearing it. Yeah. And it matches this. I mean, Trump is like, yeah, we're doing great. There's nobody to do great with, so obviously you're doing great.
Yeah.
You know, because there's nobody there to do great with.
Well, that's the point. It's like all this other stuff. Why all this other stuff is going on, all this nonsense, all this ambiguous signals that are out. There are other things behind the scenes that are taking place. I mean, we don't know if they already landed on the island and already took the island. I mean, I'm already fast forwarding. That's already been done. We're not seeing any pictures. We're not seeing anything. They're being held back. We're not seeing anything. Who's to say that island has not been captured already? This is already done. And we're just, an hour or 2 day behind? I mean, she says exit ramp, dwindling, talk, listen. I mean, overall, however you look at this and see this, okay, I think in some way, no matter what, it's just making people be uncomfortable with their situation at this time. And they can't wrap their heads around the fact is that that's why the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and other groups are basically just out of control. And they're printing stuff that is such fake, such deceptive articles in some way. And they're just carrying this out. We're losing the war. We're doing this and stuff like that. How do you know that? How do you know that? You can't prove that one way or another. You're presupposing an idea. You're not on the ground. You're not inside the military operations. They're saying that Gerald Ford was hit, and that's why it took off. It's done. It had to go back to port. It's going to be to fix. And they said it was toilets and there was a fire on board, whatever. I don't know. But to suggest that that you have definitive proof in some way, you're spinning a narrative again. And again, the wag the dog scenario is still there. The fog of war is still involved, and we just can't get through the minutia because we don't have a realistic, honest media. They're so deceptive. They're so duplicitous. This is why basically people are just pulling out their hair, and podcasts are growing, and people are trying to find the truth, trying to maneuver through the truth, and trying to execute the truth to their audiences. And I believe that's the most important thing, Marshall.
And the 82nd Airborne, I think, was already there a week ago.
I think so too. I thought about that
They're
as well.
just announcing it to catch up,
Well, that's the question. Or how far are we behind? I mean, are we in a 48-hour week window? I mean, a month? I mean, this could have been done years ago, and we're just hearing about it now. Think about this. And I said this with Thomas on his show, that everything has been done. And we're just fast forwarding this information right now to the media. Okay? And this is all being controlled behind the scenes. So what you've seen on the media in the last couple of weeks, that's done. That happened a long time ago. That might be AI. You don't know. See, that's my point. That's what I was trying to say. I know that sounds crazy. But to suggest in some way this has already been resolved, and all you're doing is seeing old videos or AI-generated videos, just like we saw that plane hit the fire truck who didn't have a transponder on it. That sounded to me like a terrorist attack. But I digress about that. That happened in Le Garbage, which is in New York. I call it LaGuardia. It's Le Garbage. It's a shithole, horrible airport. But I would have to say, after viewing that and seeing the cockpit damaged by hitting this steel machine, that just proves to me the holograms are all over the place. The magnificence of AI-generated photos of planes hitting buildings, non-planes crashing into Shanksburg. I didn't see a plane hit the Pentagon. And there are multiple footages about that. That just goes to the point right now. We have to consider how long has this stuff been going on, that they just image enhance all this stuff onto the media. They can control the media in such a manner. What if this war was already done? What if it's already been done? It's been done a long time ago. And we're just seeing old still footages of all this stuff. It's been resolved. I was throwing that out there. I know that's crazy. But to suggest that we could prove one way or another, nonetheless and nevertheless, I digress.
It's like that old song from the 70s. How long has this been going on? Remember that song?
Or How Soon Is It Now by the Smiths. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that actually is representative of what we're talking about. All right. Donald Trump Jr. Leave it to the fake news, CNN, to publish BS lies on behalf of obviously coordinated foreign op. Do they really think we're this stupid? See, he said foreign op. This Iran really wants to negotiate with J.D. Vance. Story smells like a gigantic stinking pile of propaganda. Iran has expressed a preference for negotiating Vance, sources say. Well, yeah, because they view, or at least that's what you're made to see, that Witkoff and Kushner are spies for Israel. That's what you're made to see. That's what you're made to understand. I'm not implying that, but that's how the agitprop and the actual, let's just say, certain, what's the word I was going to think about? The dishonest media, the fraudulent media, how they want to view this. They're putting this out there to say, well, yeah, they don't have anything to do with Jews at all. And that's the whole point. And that's why that's to increase and accelerate the pro-Israel PSYOP or the anti-Israel PSYOP. Remember, there are two PSYOPs going on. A pro-Israel PSYOP, that's the Mark Levin people, and then the anti-Israel PSYOP, that's the Joe Kent, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, other people. I'm not for Israel at all. So, but I'm not part of the PSYOP. I don't sit there. I can separate myself and not interject into that noise because I don't make money off it and I don't propagate off that monster. All right. moving on. Your thoughts? You want to continue on or no? What's say?
Yeah, I just, the whole Israel thing. Look,
I got
I
something
agree
for you.
with you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
No, I want you to. I want to hear your point. So please speak.
The whole Israel thing, really, I really do believe they are being singled out to a degree. I said we talked about the other night.
Right.
They are doing things that are making people pay attention to who they are and what they are.
And what do you think that is, though? But what is it that we're missing? What is it that are they being isolated for a reason? Because a lot of people who don't follow Q or don't follow all this other Dakota Ring stuff, you would have to ask yourself this in so many different ways. Because a lot of people will probably be like, well, what's wrong with Israel? What they're our allies and stuff. And then you start to see how all this stuff breaks. And for the normie NPC class, which is directed to, then they can start to see these counter narratives that are being in their face. So I often wonder if all these things are for us or for other people.
And it's when the thing is, when they get to the point where they can add the British Kingdom to that whole thing, that's when people start really getting educated.
Right.
But I don't think we're there with these NPCs, as you said.
No, we're not. And, to tie the central bankers, the Bank of London, some type of shadow government that's proxying Iran behind the scenes. I don't know if I could prove that one way or another. That's not what I'm discussing here, right? In some way. But the fact is that if there was control there, it's gone. It's over. It no longer exists. So whoever's freely to communicate, if they are, with the Trump administration, is going to be outside the purview. That's why I wonder who's really in control. Is it MI6?
Janitor.
It's
their janitor. It's their janitor. I mean, that's all that's left.
He's cleaning up all the body parts, all the bits and pieces and stuff.
That's all that's left.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, let me take some pictures, send this to you.
Talking to the janitor.
I just picked up a thumb. I got a toe over here. I think there's an eyeball. Hey, we should save it and send it to China because they love those organ transplants.
Trump is going to say, this janitor, I like this guy. I'm going to hire this. This is the guy. That's the guy.
That's
Trump
the guy.
Does that. He hires people on the spot just by the way remember, he's done it before on camera. He did it with that.
Can you imagine if Witkoff and Kushner are there in Iran and they're help propping up the new leader? I think people's head would explode. I mean, people will be freaking the fuck out. They're like, there's no way this is happening. There's no way. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Trump. One for the cookie. Wood USA for the 217 gold pills. Thea for the 600 gold pills. Thank you. Hello, fam. Curious Cat. Thank you for the cookie. And Sean Joe, thank you for the can. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. Help us out. You can help out MarshallKofi.com/surfdog74. Let's continue on. Let's listen to this because I have some choice stuff. So we'll fast forward. Rex Jones and Tim Tompkins roast sniveling court whisperer Mark Levin after his embarrassing debate with Joe Kent over the Iran war. This is a good one. Who honestly watches Mark Levin? Now, to be honest, I don't like Levin. I don't watch Fox News. I don't like his entanglement with Israel. He's the pro-Israel agitprop. Joe Kent is the opposite of that. I don't like Joe Kent either. I think, let me just say this, Joe Kent's narrative, whether you think it's anti-Semitic trope or not, I don't really care about that. All right. His comments about Israel killing Charlie Kirk is kind of, I'm not there yet. I'm not there at all yet. And I don't think there's any proof to suggest one way or another. But did he undermine Trump, the threat assessment from his own position as NCTC director? Ask yourself that. Absolutely. Is there an ongoing investigation, FBI, about Kent underway for leaking? I'm not sure, but it says it predates his resignation, as we're told. So be wary of that. Is he credible, trustworthy, or just a what? A straw man? A red herring? A distraction? Is he being set up that way? I don't know. But he's part of the non-interventionist populist crowd. All right. Obviously, this was set up to go on tour. Tucker, Candace, Megan. He's been all over the place. Now he's here. This is the isolationist American First crowd. Anti-war critics, principal whistleblower, exposing unnecessary entanglements in the Middle East. His military record and background is what's given him cred enough or credibility or viability, plausibility enough that they want to see how this unfolds. And I think that's the reason why he's gotten a pass to speak in this way, because of his background, what happened to his wife, and that is what is being asserted out. I am not here asserting that out. I think what he did was disgraceful, and if he was leaking, he should be punished. Let's continue.
You knew it would do maximum damage to the president, didn't you? The timing, for instance, if you were going to resign because you didn't agree with this war, why didn't you resign when the war started?
Because I was hoping that we would immediately de-escalate and try and get back to the negotiating table.
We would start a war and de-escalate in 3 days?
I was hoping that we were
going to do
limited strikes, and then limited strikes like we did in Midnight Hammer, and then back off and go back to the negotiating table. Once I realized that that was not going to happen, and we were spiraling deeper into this, and we were starting to lose brave men and women in yet another Middle Eastern war driven by the Israeli agenda, that's what led me to resign.
You got a real hate on
duty to make it public.
Now, I'll say this right now to his defense, Joe Kent. Why is that hate? Why is that hate? See, the anti-Semitic trope that he's leveling out, he's like, you got hate. You can't tell me that Israel was not fucking jerking off. I mean, they didn't have a boner or hard on. They weren't shooting their loads all over the place at the Temple Wall, wanting to fucking what? Hit Iran? You bet your ass they did. So fuck this guy. This is the pro-Israel psyop right here. So he's the pro-Israel psyop. He's the king of it. And then you got what Joe Ken is going to be called as the anti-Israel crowd. All right? The interventionists, the people who don't like Israel, don't trust them in some way. I don't fall into it. I just don't trust Israel, period. But I don't have to go along with one psyop or another, because I'm not for and I'm not against. It's about these two people and how we critically think and objectively view these people. This is how you should see it. Let's continue.
Got a real hate on, brother. No, you do. Do you have no respect for Donald Trump's agency, that he has the capacity to make these decisions himself?
I have the utmost respect for the president. You can read
but you didn't answer my question. You don't sound like it.
I believe that he was influenced by the media echo chamber and by the Israeli...
Well, maybe he's influenced by your media echo chamber.
We need more people like Kent. I mean,
absolutely.
The fact that he resigned should show you something inherently.
So this is the anti-Israel crowd defending Kent, not because necessarily they hate Israel, but is that they look at him as a legitimate whistleblower with valid points. But they don't get to the bottom line is that what he did to utilize and undercut his position and hurt the administration, maybe sell out the administration, and leak throughout his time working there at the NCTC as a director, undercutting the administration. All these things have to be accounted for. And there must be something that has to happen towards Kent if he committed crimes.
He went in there with a specific job, with a specific task, and thought that, okay, I'm going to do something good with my life. I'm going to do something for the American people. The moment his conscience realized that he could not fulfill that duty based off of all the things that were happening behind the scenes, this guy's involved in several conversations that the average American would never be able to hear. And then for Mark Levin
very high level human being.
Yeah, for Mark Levin to be up there as a yes man, telling you that you should pledge allegiance to our president, well, and do you really believe in the stuff that you're talking about? It's like, what are you talking about?
It's not even treating him like he's a yes man. Mark Levin acts like a prison psychiatrist, and he's talking to a guy that's Looney Tunes and won't take his meds. He's like, so you know that Trump talked to all his advisors, and you still won't trust Donald Trump's leadership. You think he's subservient to the Israelis. You need to take your lithium. It's not that he's subservient to the Israelis, it's that he's listening to them and doing what they say. Yeah. It's his decision to do these things. And of course, Kent can't publicly come out and say anything negative about Trump because he worked in his administration, and that's down the line of party politics, right? Even people that disagree with Trump, they'll still pay lip service to it or whatever. And I get it is what it is. Like, we're podcast people, we're media people, we're talking to mics, we're not in the field running these agencies. But at the end of the day, it's not Mark Levin's position to talk to you like you're mentally ill if you can't support this war. And they treat you like there's something wrong with your brain if you don't like Heil Trump.
Mm-hmm.
It appears that your media echo chamber was much more successful.
No, it wasn't. I never lobbied the president. Hey, pay attention to me.
Hey, pay attention to me. I'm speaking.
You guys keep putting that
I claim
crap
my
out
time.
there. I met with the president once at his request, and I said to the president, ready for this, Joe? I said, they're saying out there that I'm lobbying you. You know what he did? He laughed. You know what he said? Mark, I know where you stand. I watch your show on Saturday and Sunday. Anything I say here, pay attention. Anything I say here, what I would say, I did what?
You can lobby him by using the power of your show. The power.
Come on, brother. You're sounding almost ridiculous now. Now let's go on.
Okay, I'm Mark Levin. I tell you what to do. You don't want regime change? Sounds like you're in an echo chamber. No, you're in an echo
Sounds like
chamber. Regime change wars are what Trump got elected not to do.
No. And I'm just trying to understand, how does a guy like Mark Levin get platformed? I mean, you listen to the
Well,
voice.
no.
I know how to speak in this. You're going to listen to me.
That's good. That's really good right there.
Here's the thing. Rush Limbaugh called him the great
It's like
one.
Urkel.
Okay, Rush Limbaugh typed
Jewish
in
Urkel.
conservative radio
A fat
and media,
Urkel.
really the
A
number one
white
guy
fat
in the 20th
Urkel.
century to do that.
Did I do that?
Kind of outdated now, but it is
Did
what
I
it is.
do
What's
that?
his background? Do you know anything?
These people are radio hosts, man. I think.
Yeah, okay. So that's a good point. We'll move on from that. A lot of good, interesting things. I see Trusty Turnip making a good point. No, but her Greg Kelly has been reporting on it. Brags about hunting down humans and killing them, drinking around the pool in Baghdad, bagging the babes. You're referring to Joe Kent, Trusty Turnip, I presume. Let me know. Geez, what a dick. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Marshall, your thoughts about that? I mean, he was obviously a prick to him. I mean, did rightfully so? I mean, look, did he undercut Trump's administration in some way?
You mean
Yeah.
Kent?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
look,
of course.
Kent's a piece of shit for what he did. But you know what?
Yeah, I'll side with him over this piece.
Well, yeah, I will side for him in this moment and stuff because he made one valid point, is that you're no different from what I'm doing or have done. You're using your platform, your radio host show, to promote the war narrative and Israel. So why am I so different after I resigned my post and did not want to, be labored with this in some way as what I was calling him, what they used the term I think it was in the 70s during the Vietnam War, a conscientious objector. Okay. It's a fair assessment in this matter, Marshall.
Yeah, the fact that he started off his show with he almost said anti-Semite. Practically,
Yeah.
Levin.
I mean,
he was going all into this. You're hate and you're this and that. The guy's sitting there telling you the
if
truth.
you disagree about Israel, you're an anti-Semite.
Exactly.
There's nothing they're going to arrest. They're already violating your First Amendment rights.
People are starting to see. That's what.
And this is why the hate on Israel and Jews will exacerbate because of these laws. All right. The fact that our governor went to Israel to get this set up and come back and make a deal and then have it passed in Florida, you're going to start to see this. This is going to be a big thing. And the fallout from all these people who pushed these laws and allowed these things to happen, it's going to be ugly. And it's not a division of MAGA. It has nothing to do with that. It's the fact is, I have free speech. But when you want to get protracted in the free speech, okay, and this really falls under the umbrage of that, where they say, well, that's hate speech. No, it's not. You just made laws so I don't talk about it, and then you make it hate speech. Your thoughts?
Imagine if white Christians did the same shit that these guys do. Imagine. I mean, think about it. Nobody would be able to say shit about white Christians anymore. So there you go. I think a lot of this stuff, like what you mentioned about Florida and this whole thing, I think all this is supposed to happen. I think
I think so. This is what's going to break the mold. It's going to break the mold.
It's going to go to the Supreme Court anyway.
Yeah, 30 states, 30 plus states that have these anti-Semitic laws, it's a violation of free speech. And once it's undone, look out. Look out how that is going to unfurl. So Nancy Mace, she's not credible. I think she's a blowhard. Maybe she shouldn't be in Congress. She's running for governor of this state of South Carolina. She makes certain commentary. She doesn't have any integrity. The videos that she had, I don't like this person at all. But she comes out and she says, I walked out because of an Iran briefing warns that there are going to be boots on the ground. We already know there's going to be boots on the ground. Question is how many and where it's going to be located. But she wants to come off smelling like she is here as a defender of the people. And I will not ever support that. Fine. That's fine. It's going to happen anyway, whether you support it or not. You know, think about this. Nancy Mace voted against the War Powers Resolution. That would have stopped American troops probably going in. So what is it now? You hypocrite, you opportunist. Now you want to come out like beating your chest because you're running for governor? Fuck you. You lack integrity. You lack viability. You lack plausibility. The fact is that you made these commentaries to come out saying, yeah, or Lauren Boebert, I'm not funding $200 billion, but you gave Ukraine $300 billion. Everybody did. Oh, we got to beat the big bad voodoo daddy Russians. But you had no problem with that, but you can't help American troops out. You see the dichotomy? That's what I'm exposing. Whether I'm for this or against it is irrelevant. And I support President Trump doing what he needs to do with Iran. I'm a little leery about how I feel about troops on the ground. I'm telling you right now, I do. But I didn't get a chance to be a representative to vote my way for the War Powers Act or against it. But I think this thing is going to unfurl. In fact, I think this whole war has already been done. Brett, how do you know that? I don't. But that's what I feel like in some way. I had this leering dream or feeling.
Started his first term.
Exactly. That it was already done. I don't know what to make of it.
Remember the tour, everybody? Remember the tour that he did?
Yes. Go ahead.
This was already lined up. I mean, there's when you really think about it, Brent, we've just started talking about this recently, really.
Right.
And it all comes back to, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. And in regards to Nancy Mace and Boebert, these women are, they need to sit down and really check themselves, because you're starting to sound and feel like MTG. You're trying to play the game. Don't play the game. Collect your salary and do your job.
Yeah, Casey Snowman says over here they're already on the ground. I've said that they were already on the ground a while ago. If they're cleaning out the dumbs, I agree that they're clandestine, JSOC. A lot of this stuff has already happened. We're just playing catch up. We're playing fast forward. That's all it is. So
Trump
this mysterious trading patterns follow Trump into a war. Look at this trading pattern: 649 to 705. An epidemic of suspicious trading has emerged around President Trump's most consequential decisions. Each time, just minutes or hours before he rattles the global markets, according to the exchange data. Why it matters as the Iran war sends prices soaring for ordinary Americans, a select few appear to be profiting in plain sight, just like what happened 9/11. Think about that, with shorting the stock on the planes. It's precisely the kind of alleged corruption Trump built his political career rallying against. But are you trying to say that President Trump is involved with this? Because that's what the article was lending credence to. In fact, you can't prove that. What it is that they know something inside the House and the Senate, and this is being exposed. So Democrats favored to win the House in November are already laying the groundwork for investigations into whether insiders are already trading on Trump's market-moving decisions. The pattern has become impossible to ignore and spinning both traditional financial markets and fast-growing prediction platforms. On Monday, $580 million in oil futures flooded the market in a sudden spike with no public news to explain it, roughly 16 minutes before Trump announced a pause in strikes on the Iranian power plants. Well, how is that? So did anybody have inside knowledge of this? Did they know that President Trump was going to pause this in some way? Were they just betting or guessing? Who leaked this out? On Friday, before the war began, an unusual surge of more than 150 poly market accounts placed hundreds in bets predicting the U.S. strike on Iran by the next day, according to the New York Times. On January 2nd, a trader turned roughly $32,000 into more than $400,000 by betting on the capture of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro before it was announced the next morning. Last April, a surge in bullish stock trades appears minutes before Trump announced a dramatic 90-day pause on Liberation Day. Because these accounts are anonymous, it's unclear whether they're involved insiders with advanced knowledge, coordinating traders, or independent speculators. All federal employees are subject to government ethics guidelines that prohibit. Oh, well, Congress does it all the time. Senators do all the time. There are people in there right now that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but it's okay. The Trump family crypto venture has generated billions with investors, including Chinese crypto mogul, who later settled his SEC fraud case, and the Emirati royal lobbying Washington for AI chips. Trump's sons, Eric and Don Jr., have invested in drone companies competing for the Pentagon contracts. Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, and one of his Iran envoys, is seeking to raise billions for his private equity fund from Persian Gulf governments entangled in the war. Over 2 terms, Trump has granted clemency to more than 70 donors, allies, and other people convicted of fraud, including one pardon after his family donated $3.5 million to a Trump super PAC. Okay, I'll get out of this, and I'll show you one more thing here. This comes from the Telegraph. The Telegraph was basically asserting something a lot more far sinister, and I don't know what they're trying to say here in some way, but they're saying that there's something else here. And of course, this is the Telegraph that's out of the UK. Some 6,200 oil future contracts changed hands before President announced the energy strikes. Is that just good guessing, or did people have the inside track? Do you think people were leaking this in some way? Who was leaking this information? Do we have a lot of leaks going on right now? We don't know. We only know Joe Kent's name so far. All right. But the idea is that shortly after Mr. Trump's post, oil prices fell below $100 a barrel, which is 74 pounds, with the markets hedging that the conflict would probably come to an end soon. Bets predicting military action suspicious made 1 million, which is 747,000 pounds since 2024. Well-timed bets predicting military action by the U.S., Israel, and Iran. I don't know. I mean, I think there's an idea that's possible that some people are just really good bettors and they can hedge their bets for the futures and see where things are going to belie. What say you? And it
Especially
doesn't
if you got the
necessarily
money
mean
to
anything.
do it.
Well, if you have the money to do it, it's great. But the poly market is private, which is good. It's anonymous in some way. Should it not be anonymous?
Well, I mean, I don't know enough about gambling and all that to
Right.
know, but I would think it should be transparent. I would think. I mean, but again, I don't know much about that stuff because I've never been a gambler.
Right.
So
it depends on how they're trading and what they're trading with. Now, if you're using dollars, it's different from dollars or pound. It's different than using, let's just say, crypto, because the transfer, you could see it. All right. You'll see the transfer go through, but you won't be able to know who the name is and who placed the bet if that's happening. A lot of these things are anonymous in some way. And a lot of people, you never know.
I'm sure a ton of people are making money on this.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
no doubt about it.
Well, of course, you make money on wars. You make money on. Is
just
this
betting
different
on,
from
just
9/11?
speculating
No.
on it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And the oil, Jesus, man.
I know. Here we are. DOQ puts this out, tightening things up. Trump considers calling in the National Guard to manage the airport security partial shutdown. It's an interesting thing because we talked about it the other day. You have to consider, isn't there a possibility where that the TSA is going to break because of the fact is there's just not enough people to do the job that are trained. This is going to continue on without paying them. Elon Musk was shut down from paying them because it violates Congress's appropriations that commitment in the Constitution that it has to go through the Treasury. So you could set up GoFundMe stuff and all this stuff could be donated. But to pay for their salaries, which would add up to about $250 million, it would not be relevant at this point. So blame the Democrats for the airport mess. They want our country to do so badly. They want our country to fail. They broke already signed bill because they want to take care of criminals who enter our country illegally rather than American citizens. Thank you to our great ICE patrons. I may call up the National Guard for more help. This is setting up the stage in some way that we might see a lot of airports close. Not all. I mean, right now, the possibility of having 13 airports right now, 13 to 14 right now in the position of being, let's just say, helped out by ICE and National Guard is an interesting thing. So it's only going to be 13 airports, municipality airports that are going to be, let's just say, under this watch. It might be more expansive as more and more people dip out. Let me show you this that I got. This was a last-minute thing I picked up, but I did watch this at Homeland hearing. This was kind of like, jaw-dropping in some way. Acting TSA minister testifies before Congress. Nearly 500 employees quit. Some officers resort to selling their blood. Wow. And sleeping in cars. Yeah. I mean, let me go through this. Let's see if they have a video. No, they don't have a video. Let me just read this through. So Ha Nguyen McNeil testified before Congress on Wednesday that the Department of Homeland Security shut down. Acting TSA Minister Miss Ha Nguyen McNeil testifies that Congress excuse me, the TSA is currently suffering the longest times in agency history without call-out rates, 40 to 50%. At some airports, 480 employees quit since the shutdown. McNeil testified TSA has been shut down for half a fiscal year, and $1 billion in TSA paychecks will be missed if the shutdown isn't ended by Friday. Breaking, she testifies Congress that all these employers are quitting. Homeland Security Chair Garbanado from New York called Democrat lawmakers' actions regarding this disgraceful, reckless, dangerous, and unacceptable. Garbarino accused Democrats of choosing to shut down the department and weaken our national security. I think ultimately, when you really think about it, it is to do that. But what President Trump is doing there, it's another double bind. He's got them boxed in because a lot of people believe that the Homeland Secretary or agency or elements under this municipality, under this federal agency, bloated bureaucracy, the TSA is garbage. I think a lot of people don't like the TSA. And I think the more and more we start to move people out, you can't come back. It's closed. It's done for you. A lot more people will break, and then we will be able to change this over. Maybe privatize this, maybe move it into a different type of scenario. We'll be under a new authority in some way. I mentioned the interstate commerce. I think there's so many other possibilities, and I think that's where we're going. The recent developments in the Senate are showing some potential, but nothing is moving. I think in some way you have to consider right now what people are doing. They're sleeping in cars. They can't afford to feed their families and stuff. It is grotesque. I have to admit, I'm not a heel. I recognize the problem, and I understand why people quit. I mean, you're not getting paid. You got to go find something else to do, and so it's reasonable. It's expected, and I think really it's not about the TSA. I mean, I applaud all the people that are still staying there, that are still doing their job. Overall, the agency in itself is rife with fraud. And I think this is we're actually going to see a changeover happen in our time as we move off of this agency per se, or mold it into something new.
I think they should let the people that are still there, and I mentioned the other night, just switch them over to ICE. Let them go through some training, and if they qualify, let them in there. Let ICE take control, or I don't know, either privatize it or let ICE or maybe the National Guard do this, because the National Guard's done it before. Look how quick they got trained with ICE to run these machines. They're running the passports now.
Yeah.
ICE agents. So,
they're running the passports now. Now, they're not doing the screening and other things. They're learning on the job. Some of them are in these positions, but they are doing all these, they're handing out waters. They're doing all these different things to make people are not going to be feigning on these long lines. But the lines have now cut down, because people are realizing if you have ICE walking around and you're an illegal, and they're going to pick you up, and there's nothing you could do about it. There's nobody going to come to your aid to defend you. Thank you, Thea, for the 700 gold pills. Trusty Turnip with the cookie. Joe Kent's autobiography. Sean Joe, thank you for the cam. Let's continue on here. Okay, so listen to this. This is Jesse Ventura on Pierce Morgan. I'm calling now for Baron Trump to enlist in the U.S. military right now. Do something your father didn't have the courage to do. Man, these people are crazy. This guy is so stupid. He doesn't realize that he is 6'9", and he does not qualify to be in the military, to sign up. He's too tall. You understand that? He would be disqualified because of his height. Yeah, it'd be like, what do you want him to do? He's almost 7 foot walking around. You want him in the trenches? I mean, come on. Stop. I mean, these people are so virile, so feral. They have no idea what they're saying. They just want to say this. I understand what Ventura is. He is a former vet. I get it. There are a lot of former vets out there in some way. But everybody needs to calm down, slow their roll. All right. He's not putting, this is not Iraq and Afghanistan. And I'm sick and tired of people making that a comparison, because I'll be the first one to come out and call it out if it is. I am leery about these 3,000 troops, but most likely they already had people all over the place. You're just not hearing about it. You're just not. You're not going to. Here we go.
That's how I feel about it. There's a simple thing as a leader, and you know this having been in the military. Trump wouldn't know it because he's a draft-dodging coward. But anyway, it's this. A war is justified if you're willing to send your kids. Because how can you send somebody else's kids to a war if you won't send your own? So I'm calling right now for Barron Trump, Donald Trump's son. You know, after all, he's had 3 wives. He's had kids by each wife, and nobody's ever served in the military. To my knowledge, a Trump in the last 100 years has never done military service. Well, Barron, you can change that. Enlist in the United States military right now. Do something your father didn't have the courage to do. Do something your father didn't have the patriotism to do. I want to see a Trump in the military. Everybody in my family has served, so I think I can say that with all due confidence. Come on, Trumps. Don't just reap the benefits of this free world. Somebody put on the uniform, and that's you, Barron. And I heard the excuse that Barron might be too tall. David Robinson served on active duty. He was 7 feet tall before he ever went to the San Antonio Spurs basketball team. David Robinson went to the United States Navy Military Academy. He's one of my officers, not directly, but he would have been.
Did he serve in any theater? Probably not. You know, come on. I mean, I understand when Ventura he's pissed off, he's angry and stuff, but they're just venting in some way because they're like, well, you're sending, see, this is the problem. This is the pushback. And I get it. I understand. Did the Bush twins ever sign up to serve war? Well, you had females in the military back then. Why didn't they do that?
Any Biden?
How about any Biden kids?
Yeah, I didn't hear him complaining.
How about Obama's fake kids?
Yeah, what about him?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, Bill Clinton's daughter? Come on. So, I mean, look, let's play it both ways. So stop with this nonsense. How many of these? When was the last time you had what? Reagan? No, I don't think Reagan's kids served in there. Bush's kids? I think W served in what? The Coast Guard in some capacity. Whatever. I think George W., H.W., he was in World War II.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Jack Kennedy, he was in World War II. So, how many people over a timeline? This is the problem with this opportunistic, hypocritical arguments that they like to espouse and stuff. Really don't make any sense in some way. I get what they're saying. They're hyperbolic. They're upset about the possibility of going into this. But, I digress. I don't want to get into too much about this, but this is how they're trying to, in some way, push back the narrative in some way of being non-interventionists. And, like I said, these objective, conscientious objectors, they want to be this in some way. So they're finding every way to make sure they can put this in the box to undercut the Trump administration, the foothold of war and everything else that is, let's just say, following through. So here we are, Harry Enton. So apparently right now, men are leaving the Trump administration, young men. He won by 13 points in 2024, but his net approval is -7 points with them. Men under 45, that would be millennials and Gen Zs. Trump won by 5 points in 2024. Actually, 45 is, I think that might be the borderline of Gen X. So, okay, so Gen X under, so millennials and Gen Zs. Trump won by 5 points in 2024, and now he's 19 points underwater. Okay.
Republicans won in 2024 because of support from male voters. The only way they can win, given the gender gap in this country, is support from male voters. And male voters are abandoning Donald Trump. Take a look here. This gives the game away. Okay, Trump's standing with men. In November of 2024, he beat Kamala Harris among them by 13 points. Look at where he is now on his net approval rating. Down he goes. It's a 20-point shift away from Donald Trump. He is now 7 points underwater at this particular point among men. I think it is very difficult for Republicans to do well in this midterm cycle if Donald Trump is underwater with men. As my uncle once wrote, where the boys are, where the men are, they are underwater when it comes to Donald Trump.
Okay, so that's overall men, but what about young men who were really influential?
Yes, young men. Of course, there was a massive shift to Donald Trump from 2020 to 2024 among young men. And look right here. Whoa, yikes, 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 yikes. Men under the age of 25 on Trump. He won him in 2024 by 5 points. Look where he is now. The net approval rating way down there. Down we go to negative 19 points. That's nearly, what is that? Nearly a 25-point switcheroo against the president of the United States when it comes to men under the age of 45. Those men that had switched their allegiances over to the Republican Party are seeing what the president is doing. They don't like what the president is doing, and they have very much soured on the president of the United States, men under the age of 45.
What is it?
Okay. Marshall, your thoughts about that? Polls are polls. They shift and change. I mean, yes, you're going to see a lot of Gen Zs and millennials that are going to enter the theater of war, have already entered the theater of war in this matter in some way, that are enlisted in the military. They just raised the limit. I think they went from 35 to 42 now, where you can enlist or be called back into battle or into something. They tapped it at 35, and now it's up to 42. And so in some way, you're seeing a millennial class, a Gen Z class that supported President Trump in some way, now see that the numbers shift based upon the non-interventionist populist movement, the isolationist, the American First crowd, because they don't like what they're seeing, what's going on. They feel like they're being pulled in and being, this is, again, goes towards the anti-Israel psyop.
Yeah, the guy, first of all, I mean, he does his thing at CNN. He reminds me of the ShamWow guy with this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he really went. He's
really
running for
Congress, by the way.
He's going really low. He's going like, yeah, I know. He's running for, yeah. But look, we're 7 months away.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of doubt. I mean, when summer starts, what does gas do?
Exactly.
Summer vacation. So you can take your little odometer and hold on to it, CNN.
Yeah,
I'm not concerned about.
I'm not concerned about it either. I think about it. This is done. I mean, this is already settled noise in so many ways, and this is done, and they already know it's been settled and it's finished, and everything's going to come out. They already foresee and plan this. I'm not worried about it. I really am not. I am worried to see where we are with the Krieg Island and what befalls of that with the Strait of Hormuz. I am really kind of like interested of understanding the back players, the shadow government, if there is one, of Iran. I am interested to see when that's all shattered. Who are they? What are they? How do they amass power in such a way? What was it that was helping them? Who was helping them? I'm severely interested. I'm very interested in understanding the rationale, the reasoning of how these people really come into play. And then what has now befallen them is a dead stick, and nobody's there left trying to pick up the pieces. Just some independent mediators and arbitrators that want to sail this thing through, which also leads me to it's a mystery, at least a mystery to us. I mean, they know who they're talking to, or they're not talking to anybody in some way. Again, that's another thought of projection. I mean, that's why I'm saying, is this really real? I mean, has this already happened? I want you to consider that. Has it already happened? And they're just playing this up now for us to play catch up. Just something to say. Because if the media controls a lot of different narratives in some way, and you're seeing a lot of stuff that was years ago, they can play it back to your heart's content, and then have commentary and stuff. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you look at what happened at 9/11, those planes that supposedly hit the tower, they were AI generated in there. Nothing hit the towers. You were just made to see that. Had airline conditions. You had sound. You had all this stuff, all this noise. Nothing really happened.
People on the ground said they didn't see anything in the sky.
Nobody saw anything. There's no video footage. There's only one video footage that they have. They didn't even see the first one. There was a helicopter was up there at that time, and that helicopter was pulled back. I wonder why. Israel is going to do what now? Breaking Laura Loomis, she said this yesterday, is predicting that many Americans will die in a soon-to-be terrorist attack that will be 10 times worse than 9/11. You Mossad bagel fucking whore. Let me tell you something right now. I mean, when I hear this piece of shit speak like this in some way, and because I looked under to make sure that she actually said it. She did say it, and people are replicating and duplicating what she discussed. It only comes back to the Samson effect. That something is going to happen with, like Seymour Hersh said, the Samson effect or what happened. Something is going to happen and is going to recoil on Israel, and then they're going to do something in retaliation against us, maybe. And I think if that's what she's referencing, or she's just trying to stir the pot up in some way, as her Mossad people would want to do, put out that agitpop, get that going. We need to recycle that out, put the fear of God in people, because God forbid we let Israel down, they'll come after their allies. And yeah, that's what the Samson effect is about. Excuse me, the Samson option by Seymour Hersh, written in 1992. I have the book. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and that was a direct threat. That's what she just did, or he, Larry. That was a direct threat, and it's just like, I don't think they don't have the means, because now I don't think they have much of a, what is it, the iron wall, the iron dome, or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't think they have much of that left, because they're getting hit left and right by Iran. So
I mean, is even Netanyahu dead? I mean, a lot of people speculated in some way.
I think the guy's toast, if you ask me.
I think so too. I think at first it got a little comical and little, kind of like, all right.
Puppets
and
the
then
whole
the longer it goes, what's that?
All the marionette puppets is kind of reminded. I mean, they're all, it's crazy, Brad. I think the guy was. Who knows if the guy wasn't gone a while back?
That's a good point. That's even a better point. Yeah, that's even a better point to, again, you don't know what's real or not. Again, the wag the dog, the fog of war, all the deception, the art of war, all the noise in between. You have no idea. We really don't. We don't. We sit there, we speculate. We matriculate ideas out there and thoughts. We try to mold it together, but we're just not certain. And people that say, I have proof, I have a source, good luck with that. I hate those people, because those people are full of shit. Hoglike, thank you for the cookie and the can. Who else is here that was leaving stuff? Someone else. Trusty Turner, thank you for the cookie. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill, comments, questions, or concerns. You can help out marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. You can drop us a rumble rant. You all know what to do. So the Daily Beast puts this out. CNN data guru predicts a major disaster for Trump after Dems flip Mar-a-Lago. This Mar-a-Lago district, ladies and gentlemen, was a staunch red. A staunch red. In fact, what I had here is Dems flipped this Democrat-red Florida district that was heavily Republican. I think they won like 19 points a couple of years ago, and now this was a special election for somebody who stepped down. So let's play this.
Look at the votes, 99 in. This is looking very good for Emily Gregory right
Correct,
now.
the Democrat, in a district that Donald Trump won by 11 points.
So let me say this. In this district, which is heavily white and wealthy, why are you putting up a black man? This is my argument of why I think what's his name is going to run for governor. He's going to lose. Byron Donalds. And we could see a Democrat as governor. I'm serious. You have to consider Democrats are completely racist, so they're definitely going to do everything they can to make sure a black man doesn't win this. But when you see how things are and how things are, whatever, he's not like a great candidate. Not for governor, I can tell you that right now. He's got less bona fides than Ron DeSantis did. Believe me. It's just Ron DeSantis turned out to be better than what this guy is. Kind of. Maybe in some way, but they all have similar same talking narratives. But this, not good. Now, this is a special election. Means in November, there'll be another election for that seat.
That is a massive shift, right? That is a double-digit shift towards the Democrat if that result holds and we have most of the vote in. And what I will say, what is so important, it is happening now in Donald Trump's backyard, but it has been happening across the country. We have seen these massive shifts in these special elections. I looked at all of them, okay, so far to date, the state legislative, the federal special elections, and what
no matter what it's for,
no
it's
matter,
a special election.
Correct, for state legislative or federal for
28.
Congress. And what we've seen so far is a shift to the Democrats on average of 12 points. We have seen a shift of 12 points from the Kamala Harris baseline from what we saw.
Which is about where this race looks like it's
exactly right.
Yeah.
This is emblematic, Aaron, of what we have seen.
They've won 28 seats in House and state scenarios, not just federal, meaning basically for U.S. representative. They won state and federal. They're up 28. It's insane. Should we be worried? Yeah, I think we should be. I think, as expected, but that doesn't mean something is going to give way. And I believe something will. I think there's going to be a lot of things that give way. I mean, once this war is settled and we get past this, the numbers will come back up. You give about 2 months for the oil and gas to drop, the speculation, all that other hedge funding, all the other particulars that are involved, rent, distribution, everything to catch up and stuff like that. I think we'll be good to go before. But if it's a protracted war, I don't think it's going to be. I think in some way that we're just filling out a timetable of what's going to happen. The fact that the National Guard is going to be probably at a lot of these municipalities at these airports tells me something is afoot here. It's much more than that. Because the last time the Guard was there was 9/11. All right, I'm done with that. Marshall, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is the thing. The one thing that CNN left out about the election down there in Palm Beach County was there was another Republican running in that race.
Yes. It's
he
happening
split
quite a
the
bit.
freaking vote by 500 votes.
Mm-hmm.
500 votes, man.
Right.
I saw that shit. I was so pissed off. Who was the asshole that stayed in that race, that Republican? That guy, there's got to be something up with that.
Well, that's the point. And I think that in some ways that a lot of these people that are losing these races, I saw a mayor lost by one vote because you had another Republican in it. Instead of bowing out at the last minute, throwing your thing and saying, hey, look, making a deal. I mean, that's the problem. But that's a heavily white, rich district and stuff. Why are you putting up a black guy? You know what I'm saying? No offense to black people that are decent and honest that want to run for politics. I'm saying that. I'm just saying, now, if that was in an area that's rural and urban and stuff, it would make sense. That's the Mar-a-Lago district. I don't think you know what Manalapan is in that area. It's fucking expensive and it's rich. So I don't know about who this candidate was, and maybe they kept the other guy in thinking in some way, but it looks in some way that this was a red herring. It was a distraction at one end and was set up to fail at another. It's pretty shitty when you think about it. And that's what we're going to see quite a bit.
I think it's a tactic that the Democrats are going to start using by putting a plant in there on the Republican side and try to run them ragged and keep them in there until they split the vote and the Democrats win.
No,
it's another. I mean, I would. They'll do anything, Brad. These people.
No, I know they'll pretend they're whatever, and they'll have somebody in there that's going to register, and obviously, and that's why you got to make sure you know who you're voting for, who you're not voting for. Yeah, I mean, this is a very disconcerting thing, and I am worried about it. I mean, I don't want to lose our governorship to a Democrat. God forbid we do that, because everything that's been, let's just say, done here, pushed forward in some way. We have a major, strong red quintillion of people moving forward in a lot of different, and it's hardening. And it's only going to get better, but to lose the governor over this in some way would be problematic. I mean, hell, I'd take Casey Anthony. I mean, I'm not Casey Anthony. Casey DeSantis. Casey Anthony. I'd take Casey DeSantis then, if she was running. I mean, she's not going to run, but I mean,
at least we got a primary. So Byron,
we'll see how the primary goes.
See how he does in the debate.
If he does well in the debate and polls well and stuff, and he beats Fishback by a good margin, then his numbers will go. But if he doesn't and it's tight, look out, then that's going to be a tight race. So Joe Kent offers to testify for Charlie Kirk's alleged killer. All right. Joe Kent, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, has stirred a great deal of controversy. He's claimed that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. Comments regarding the murder of Charlie Kirk. Kent expressed a willingness to serve as a defense witness for Tyler Robinson. On Tyler Robinson's, let's just put it this way, his arrest and everything, and he's pled not guilty. And a lot of people said that, he said he's intimated to the idea, I did it, when he pled not guilty. And actually, if on the record, you could see that there's no admission by default or anything to read out to the jury or to anybody to suggest that he's admitted to one way or another that he killed Charlie Kirk. So that's a false narrative that's being put out there. All right. He didn't. Maybe he said that to his parents, but he got a lawyer and he clammed up. Okay. And who's to say he wasn't alone? The other thing in some way where he was forced to capitulate to that. Did anybody ever realize in some way that the video footage of him entering the police station with his parents or his father and family, that sheriff's office, there's no video footage of him entering that time when he surrendered. Remember, they gave him time to surrender. He surrendered. No video footage of that at all. It was whitewashed away. In fact, it's gone. And the question is why? Why didn't detectives take the copy of that? And why did they let it 30 days recycle out? Or it was taken and we don't have what it is. So the Charlie Kirk show, Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff, first of all, it should not be Charlie Kirk's show anymore. He's dead. Change it to TP USA or whatever. Stop using his name in vain. It's disgusting. They're actually making money and profiting off his name. There are other discussed at the former National Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent's Tuesday suggestion that he would be willing to testify Tyler Robinson if it helped Robinson's defense. Wow. That is massive. Colvert revealed that after Kirk's assassination, he had provided Kent with the text messages from a group chat Kirk had participated in. According to Colvert, Kent subsequently urged him to release the text publicly after he declined. The messages were obtained in a short order by Candace Owens, who made them public and used them to fan the flames of her conspiracy theories about Kirk's death. So it's plausible to suggest that Kent was the one that was forwarding her all this information in some way, one way or another, who resigned his post. So here we are. Nelson Kevlin spoke about Kent's remarks shortly after journalist Michael Schellenberger reported on them. Some people are so obsessed with the same conspiracies that they concoct every other thing that ever happens. And so they have to shove it into this one or two things because they care more about the conspiracy theories than about the person who murdered my friend facing justice. I am fed up. So let's play this. Let's see if it's here. Let's see if I have it. It might have it here. Let me see. See if this plays it. If not, I have another video for it. No. Let's see if it's going to play. Okay, here it is. Yep. I have this video.
That they concoct for every other thing that ever happens. And so they have to shove it into this one too, because they care more about their conspiracy theories than about the person who murdered my friend facing justice. I am fed up with it.
Yeah, and you should be. And this is, I mean, this is a tough job for us today, to be honest, because this is really personal. I have been open to everything. I think, candidly, I don't get enough credit for even the fact that I shared these group chats in the first place. We shared a lot of information about trans, about Charlie, how Charlie was more concerned about than any other community about the trans coming after him. You want to know the truth? That's actually the truth. I heard over the course of the last 2 years of Charlie's life, probably about 50 references of how he knew the trans Tifa was going to come after him. And he was worried about that. That's the truth. Never mentioned one time about the Jews. Okay? Never once. And here's why it's so frustrating is because there is going to be even more evidence that is presented to the public in May at the evidentiary hearing. Okay? And it's a mountain of evidence, some of which has been made public, some of which has not been made public yet. And the prosecution is going to lay out its case against Tyler Robinson. And I'm told it's a whopper. I'm told they've got this guy dead to rights. And meanwhile, you have government officials that are now saying on the record to journalists they are willing to testify on behalf of the defense. to get Tyler Robinson off the hook for something that he did. And so the level of betrayal that I currently feel is dramatic and extreme. The level of just frustration, the idiocy that is on full display, we have to call it out, because if this ends up screwing up the jury pool, if this ends up in some ways getting a hung jury, getting this case thrown out, or even just getting the death penalty off the case, off the potential list of consequences here, I'm not going to be happy with that. I'm telling you that as somebody who was open to all different options, I didn't care where the truth led. This is where the truth led. This is it. And for any fair-minded person, this is crackpot conspiracy.
How do you have evidence to a capital murder case that you have inside sources to know what evidence is there or not? Wouldn't that in some way be a violation of discovery and evidentiary procedures? Absolutely. How would you have an insight to know what the state prosecution holds? Okay. Who's feeding you these inside sources? I call bullshit, because you don't want a mistrial. If this is true, this should be examined as a mistrial. For the sake of argument that this kid didn't do it, and this collaboration behind the scenes is being unfurled out through whispers and rumors, the evidentiary procedures, the discovery, the little minutiae of this case can automatically render a misdirect in some way, a mistrial. And so you're saying to us that you have communicated that they're going to bombastically destroy the defense with whatever they have. First of all, do you believe him? And if you do believe him, and if it's proof that he has that, well, then this trial, he'll have, if he's convicted, Tyler Robinson, he'll be able to what? Appeal this right away, because there have been leaks and sibs all over this place. So I don't trust TPUSA. I don't trust this guy. I don't trust the other guy per se. And I believe the evidence in this case that no one has seen, but yet everybody has some type of understanding because they're in touch with them, because they were part of this in some way. What evidence is being what? Fabricated? What preponderance of evidence? Because no one's seen any video footage of anything. Well, he had his fingerprints on this. He had some videos. He had some DNA on this stuff. Yeah, anybody could have put that on there. Okay? Oh, what? He walked back what he said, and now he said no. All it takes is one person in this trial to nix this. And stuff like this, it really gets my hair on fire when I hear stuff like this. You should not have anything to do with this trial. If you're called as a witness, fine. But you should not be speaking to the prosecution or the state at levels they're saying going on your podcast in Charlie's name. You hypocrite and opportunist. Trafficking what? Peddling bullshit. Man, if Tyler Robertson gets convicted, this looks like a railroad. I mean, take this at face value. Let's continue.
See garbage brain rot stuff. And now it's gotten really serious. This isn't podcaster junk. This isn't like social media conspiracy nonsense. This is an actual government official who's now going to be called to testify on behalf of the defense. And that is a bridge too far. That is a line in the sand that we must hold, because this could negatively impact the trial of the assassin of my friend, of Blake's friend. So that's the breaking news.
The alleged assassin, the purported assassin. And why is Kash Patel suggesting that there's still an ongoing investigation? Why did Joe Kent say that? Why is he saying that this case is being blocked in some way? Marshall, your thoughts. I'll go to the next thing on here.
The reaction that these, especially the bald head guy on the left.
Neff, yeah.
But the reaction of both of these at the beginning of this the open of this show or their segment was beyond like, we are guilty as hell.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what all that said. They're very defensive. This is what these people do. You know who I'm talking about. They're not black. They're these people.
Yeah.
This group. they get, like Levin, they get immediately defensive.
Right.
They start calling you every name in the book. They get overly incensed that you're trying to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're asking questions of a attempted murder about 8 months ago or whatever, 9 months, whatever, then whose side are you on?
We asked questions about Trump's assassination where other people are in there, and I saw Jesse Ventura say that, this whole thing was fake, even though 2 people were shot, critically injured, and are still recovering from their wounds. Corey Capator was murdered. Trump was, and then, when you really think about it, when you ask questions about that, we're shut down. But we can't ask questions about this. That we all saw it live. So Joe Kent says he is skeptical that Tyler Robinson, who confessed to killing Charlie Kirk, was the lone shooter. That accusation can undermine the prosecutor's case against Robinson. Kent says he knew of the risk before he decided to speak out. Wow. See, now that's why they're pissed, and now everybody is piling on Joe Kent because now he's moved from this non-interventionist, conscientious objector. He's saying that he looked into this. I know other people push back. You saw Bongino saying, really? I was stifled. I was told to stand down about this. I couldn't look into this case. Well, you were the director of the National Counterterrorism. It's plausible to suggest that was true. He wasn't lying about it. He would be in a position to see this, especially if they were working at a fur baby contingency of a mafioso sort working with the Mormons. Forget about everything else. Even Colbert said that they were concerned about the trans community, the trans furry Mormon community that they cover up for there. He actually said it. I'm not saying that he's being duplicitous in this. I'm saying that he might have an inkling, a certain amount of information that possibly lends credence to the idea that he was stonewalled and blocked, thus what? Elevating his situation into this to want to speak on the behalf of Tyler Robinson, of having full knowledge about what he learned. Now, the question is, will he be allowed to share that with his clearances and all this other stuff? And also, if he's still under investigation. Maybe, purportedly. Marshall.
I'm starting to feel like Joe Kent is part of this whole thing. He's some kind of a central casting guy.
It's,
something with this.
Is it possible Joe Kent was thrown out there to be a reverse psyop, as we said the other day? Was he done there to go on these tours, to throw this out there in some way, to get people all whatever, to let's expose Tucker, expose Candace, expose all these people in some way, when he's going to go on this tour in this manner? All right, speak in this way. Allow the leaking that was happening behind the scenes to go on. Was he being used? Was he being used as a dupe? Again, as a straw man? I'm wondering how much of the rhetoric in some way is a red herring as I see this right now. Because some of it looks like a divertisement. It really does. But it's tough to get a handle on. Again, tonight's show, you can't believe a goddamn thing. Art of no deal. That's what I'm saying. Ambiguous signals. Joe Kent fits an ambiguous signal. I don't know how to make heads or tails when it comes to this. Would USA, thank you for the 817 gold pills. Need more gold pill love. Support the boy stream. Thank you, sir. Senor Polo, gift of the can. Would Joe Kent be classified as an expert witness? That is an excellent point. Well, if you're the director of national counterterrorism and there's an ongoing FBI investigation and you are proceeding that this is a domestic terrorist case in some way, then you would suggest, it would be plausible to say that he's a credible, reliable witness that has the potential, the viable potential, believable, plausible, let's just say, knowledge as a director of the National Counterterrorism Team that could offer proposed opinions, presumed opinions in some way, or stuff that he collected if he was called to testify, if the defense wants to bring him up there. But he can't just impose himself out there. He's throwing himself out there if they want to call him, and they have to ask him to do this. They have to sequester him. They have to subpoena him. They have to ask if he wants to testify in some way. Will this benefit Tyler Robinson? Or, as Colvin is saying, his testimony might swing the jury, and it only takes one. And that's what they're worried about. They're not worried about if his evidence is going to show, or a preponderance of evidence is going to show, or information is going to slate the narrative. It's only going to taint the jury pool, as Colvert is saying here right now. That's what they're concerned about. You know what? I want justice for Charlie too, but I don't want some fucking dupe. I don't want some guy, all right, who's in the book depository.
A fall guy.
I don't want that. I don't want a dupe. And I'm telling you right now, I'm tired of being fucking duped. I don't want to be the dupe, and I don't want to see the dupe. I don't want to see, you know what? If this kid is just fucked up in the head and they've convinced him that he did it, man, no patsies. I'm done with I want to see the evidence. So if Ken has something, Senor Polo, fucking let's go. The defense should what? They should request that he testifies. Add him to the list for testimonies. Charlie Kirk's show has major meltdowns after learning Joe Kent. The show is demanding that no questions be asked about the assassination. This is personal. I'm fed up for him. Okay, this was the same thing that I got from that, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, and he freaked out, and you noticed that.
I had it back up because I couldn't find the other video, but that video is there. So here's another one that's different.
Is a big deal. Yeah, go ahead, man.
This is a different video. So this is when he had Schellenberger on when he interviewed Kent. So Kent made it clear that he was blocked from pursuing potential foreign involvement, which is the problem. How can he hide information if he was blocked from investigating? See, this is where I give Kent quarter, okay? I believe that his bona fides, all right, may be substantiated by his position in the Trump administration, being the director of national counterterrorism, and thus having the benefit. This could be the reason why, as Marshall was saying, the reverse psyop of Joe Kent is going on for this very extrapolation. To get to what? To get to testify that he sourced stuff that the FBI may be covering up and allowing this case to unfurl out through the state of Utah and not stepping in, providing additional information and to qualify his points of view that could help open and expand this, or maybe crack this baby open. Joe Kent is being willing to testify if he's called. If so, Schellenberger interviewed Joe Kent. Listen to this.
Your story broke, and boy, oh boy, this is a big one. And you interviewed Joe Kent, and so I'll let you say
him right now.
Words. What did he tell you?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Andrew, inviting me on. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty big news. Joe Kent, of course, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, has been saying for the last week that he thinks that that he doesn't buy the lone shooter theory of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He suspects there's a foreign nexus, was the words he used, involved in that assassination. He said that the FBI prevented him from investigating it, and that he viewed that as suspicious. And if there was nothing there, he told me, then why did they prevent him from investigating it? I asked him if he was aware before he went public last week that Tyler Robinson, the suspected assassin of Charlie Kirk, that his defense attorneys might actually call Kent to the witness stand to argue that that Robinson could not be convicted because the prosecutors had not given them all the information they had available to them. That's something known as the Brady Rule, named after a Supreme Court decision, I believe in the 1960s. But nonetheless, most people are familiar with it from television, which is that the prosecutors can't deny, federal government can't deny, the government can't deny the defense any information. And Kent is saying that there is information and that the investigation itself was inadequate. And that, I spoke to a constitutional legal scholar yesterday who said, it would be a no-brainer for the defense attorneys now for Robinson to use Kent's statements as a way to, gain an advantage or potentially a hung jury.
Yes, Troglodyte. Trust starts with accountability, and there's none of either. Yeah, for TPUSA, all right, for what we're seeing right now, and of Joe Kent. I got it. But he is in a position that might have relevant information to showcase that his investigation or push or calling forward for an investigation was blocked by the FBI and shut down. And maybe that's all he has. Now, the question is, do you believe him? Is he reliable? Can you trust what he said? Well, I'd say, given the benefit of the doubt, not the benefit of the doubt, but the fact is of his position, of his statute, that would qualify as a reasonable expectation to suggest that information that he provides can be afforded that liability or that availability. All right. Now, the question is, can he prove any of that stuff? Does he documentation that would afford the accountability as Troglodyte was suggesting? Let's continue.
Or a mistrial or something of that nature. So it's pretty serious for people that are interested in seeing justice served with the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Well, listen, Michael, I know that you have to be sort of dispassionate. You're a reporter. But to me, this feels like a giant red line. This feels like galaxy brain run amok. Did you get a chance to ask him just straight up, just because he didn't get let into the investigation doesn't mean it wasn't investigated?
Yeah, I mean, thanks. I appreciate the point. I mean, I'm trying to, the truth is I actually like kind of everybody involved in this. I've actually admired Kent and the things he said in the past. I also care a lot about the transgender issue. We reported it exclusively on leaked files.
You've been amazing on this issue, Michael. Just to underscore your point, you have been one of the lead voices exposing some of the craziness and the zaniness behind the transgender radical trans ideology. So I just wanted to give you some bona fides there.
Thank you.
Schellenberger.
Obviously, it's a big issue, and I think many Americans felt that they didn't need to pay attention to the issue at all. But now we've seen trans-identified people engaged in shootings, obviously, or maybe not obviously, probably obviously to your audience.
All right, it's like 18 minutes long. I don't have time for that, but I think the point is that you get the gist of all this stuff. Now they're pointing the transgender community, as they rightfully so, and also there could be something much more bigger and operational there. I don't know what Kent knows, but I think a lot of people that are automatically assuming, well, since he has now come out as pretending to be this conscientious objector or something had changed, non-interventionist, a leaker, yes, is his integrity or credibility on the line here when it comes to this? Or is this always the case? Or is this just a sidebar scenario? I don't know, Marshall.
I think TPUSA is being exposed. I mean, they're showing their ass. I mean, I don't know how they continue on and how they continue, like you said, to use Charlie's name.
Right.
I mean, call it something else, like you said, TPUSA Today or whatever.
Yeah, well, whatever their last name is, Colvert and Heff or whatever.
Yeah,
call it that.
Yeah,
why don't you call it use your name?
And they won't last for one day.
You know,
it won't last.
Or just call it TPUSA channel. I mean, I don't know, but the way
sucks.
The way they're doing this is terrible in some way. And their response about this, I mean, it's keeping his name alive. No, you're not. You're profiting off his name. It's not keeping his name alive. And then here's the thing: what if Joe Kent had evidence or information that he could provide that would help illuminate a lot of people out there about this case, especially if it was in some way to possibly benefit the defense? Is that a problem? Or are they just people, they want to hang this noose around this kid and say, he's guilty, hang him, set him up as the patsy. We could bury him next to fucking, what's his name? Oswald. And then with no headstone and call it a day and move on. That's what they want to do. Information, evidence, truth, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Turning Point is fucking spooked by Joe Kent. They know he knows what happened with Charlie Kirk. This comes from Godfrey. Turning Point USA is warning Americans against conducting independent investigations into Charlie's murder, calling it dangerous. Yeah, well, that's all kooky to say that in some way. That's not really true. They're just putting out the idea, the potential that you could be sued in some way, as Erica Kirk is now suing certain people on X for misstating or mislabeling commentary that was off the cliff, so to speak. Okay, well, how come you didn't sue Candace Owens? How come you haven't sued Candace Owens about any of this stuff? Is she so off the mark? But you sued other people who are on X. I mean,
they'll sue the people that don't have the means to fight back.
Right, exactly.
But they'll go for the poorer people that can't hire a lawyer.
Who don't have an army of lawyers like her.
Run it right through them, and they'll never get their disability check anymore.
So here we are.
People operate. Go ahead.
That's why I said you got to be careful. Purportedly, allegedly, when you talk about this stuff, that's why I stay off all this stuff. I don't care about all that stuff. All right. But I do like the idea is that if Joe Kent was going to testify, I'd like to hear what he has to say. I mean, aren't we all for the truth? Or are we just going to automatically say he's not credible and viable because of his current situation of being a purported leaker? I mean, the FBI is saying that this stuff was done prior to his resignation. Okay, that's fine. Let's see it. Let's come out with this stuff. I'm all for it. Be transparent. What about this administration being transparent? I'm all for it. Well, that's a development. Let's see what happens next. The FBI Director Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins, who put out this 14 different pros on X of different things allegedly, reportedly, that Michael Flynn, Tucker Carlson, Joe Kent, Candace Owens are all linked to a foreign influence operation. She mentioned many other names. So Donald Trump replied to this, and he had, all eyes are on that. So if this is true, this is going to be massive. Kash Patel's girlfriend, which I don't understand why this country singer is putting out all this stuff. Someone obviously helped her write it. It just seemed odd in some way. Who was she working for? She used to work for TPUSA, by the way. She was an ambassador to them. I don't know if she does that anymore or what she does now, but this is just an odd thing that they're putting this out there and showing this. This bullshit tears me so absolutely fucking huge. Is about to break. Well, the stage is set. Let's see. It would be silly. Told you Trump is deep state. By reading that again, maybe you'll get a reasonable conclusion. Here's the threads. There's like 14 or 13 threads. It says the Foreign Linked Influence Network has been running coordinated operations against Trump administration for 22 months. I know it's real because they ran against me. I was targeted in something, and I knew it was from the organic. The level of media is isolating. What's your thoughts? I mean, it's just some crazy stuff out there.
Yeah, it's just more of propaganda. I mean, you don't know what these people are actually trying to say. You don't know what side they're on.
That's my point about this.
It's the name of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when I read that stuff, it's just like, at some point you got to turn off and just think for yourself.
Right.
Because
honestly, I'm not going to believe. Look, I'm not calling her. I'm not saying that she's an agent provocateur for Israel, like some people have asserted. I don't know. I don't know anything about her. All I know is that she's 20 years younger than Kash Patel, and she's really attractive dating him.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. And that's as far as I know. She's a country singer. Okay.
Kind of reminds me of Erica Kirk.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea of a honeypot thing that's been thrown back and forth, the reverse psyop of that, it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's escalating. We're about to see some stuff really hit the fan. Matt Gaetz puts this out. Tulsi Gabbard is an American patriot. I would say so. Josh Hammer says anonymous sources have informed him that Tulsi Gabbard is running a shadow op that he views as anti-Semitic. Anything that you do is now perceived. The perceived management of anything that is counterproductive to the state of Israel or people that basically swear their allegiance to the Holy Wall and to Israel is I'm telling you, it's anti-Semitic. That our First Amendment rights are under duress. So all the people out there that say, the MAGA bros, the big names, and go through the list, it's an anti-Israel psyop. Okay, so you don't want to call it the pro-Israel psyops, only the anti-Israel psyops. So what is this shit? Is this straight subterfuge? Because a lot of people like her. And you're suggesting in some way, you know this because of certain sources. In what way is this anti-Semitic? My God, if you take a shit the wrong way, you don't bless it with kosher, if you don't fucking make it with fucking matzo balls, let me tell you something. Anything that you do is it's almost disgusting. You know, anti-Semitic and saying that thing is now bigger than the N-word. It's now moved past that. It's in the realm of retard and nigger. Can you believe that? So when you really get to that level right now, and in all these states, 32 states that are going to use these laws to come after you, all right, if you put up memes or all these other things to attack or say anything that's incendiary, you can't even have open and free speech. I'm worried about this. My number one thing is about free speech. I am disgusted by it. Listen to Josh Hammer. Oh,
people around the same time, last fall, I don't remember the exact date, that Tulsi Gabbard, who is the director of national intelligence, and she was Joe Kent's boss as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, he worked under Tulsi Gabbard. I was told by numerous people who are very much part of the conservative ecosystem in D.C., these are well-sourced people, strong connections to the White House, they told me to be strongly on the lookout for Tulsi Gabbard and her office. They basically said that Tulsi Gabbard is running something of a shadow operation from her office, that she is personally, I was told this, I've met Tulsi, I don't know her well. I was told she's personally actually very anti-Semitic and that she is heavily involved in a lot of the anti-Semitic influencer operations and that she is potentially involved when it comes to trying to feed some of these narratives there. Now, I didn't put two and two together at the time and think that this trail led immediately to Joe Kent. I've known of Joe Kent for years. We follow each other on Twitter for forever. I knew that he had some isolationist-y leaning views on foreign policy, but nothing particularly extreme. He actually, up until yesterday or a year ago, whatever, was somewhat sober, at least, on issues pertaining to the Middle East, Iran, Israel, you name it, though. So I didn't put two and two together at the time that it immediately went to Joe Kent, but especially after his disgusting anti-Semitic dripping with the anti-Semitism conspiracy-laden resignation letter, Aaron, I am not surprised that here is where we are at when it comes to trying to figure out who it was. And indeed, it does seem, as Andrew on his show said, that it was Joe Kent.
So now you want to tie Joe Kent because Tulsi Gabbard were the boss of him in some way. And so their connection, their friendship in some way, now she's anti-Semitic. Now you want to smear her with the matzo balls, okay? You want to smear her with the gefilte fish. You want to make her, all right, this person. And so this guy, this fucking bagel Fruit Loop, looks like fucking Count Chocula, all right, is making assertions, making certain, let's just say, inflammatory, and I would say problematic situational commentary that can land him in big trouble. You're asserting in some way that she is something that she is not, that you can't prove, but you're hearing from sources say. Well, buddy, look out. Look the fuck out. My God, in some way, that if you feel in some way you're stepping out of line, they will call you anti-Semitic and use this to undercut you and destroy your character in the character assassination. This makes Joe Kent look good. When you start to hear this shit, you start to wonder, saying, maybe Kent is not that far off his rocker because he's been called anti-Semite left and right. Marshall.
Well, I'll say that the Kent part, I think this is all supposed to play out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll add with this guy, he sounds like a cross between Ben Shapiro and Levin, Mark Levin. They all sound the same. You're up there. You're talking about the Jews. You can't do this. You can't say anything bad. Get the fuck out of here. Try being a white Christian, motherfucker.
That's right. Dude, let me tell you right now, if they get out of line with this whole thing and Trump really wants to draw back and set this up, and they accidentally or on purposely or intentionally hit us and we're staged over there and we have troops there and they pull another U.S. Liberty, it's over, man. You better look the fuck out. People will be flipping tables over like Christ returned the next day. Yeah, they would. You think you have a problem now. And if they get out of line and don't want to draw down and want to play sanction option games, well, then you know what? Might as well look for Russia or China to hit back and hit back hard. And I think that's where we're going to be standing. I think we're going to draw down, and something is going to happen. And Laura Loomer is saying that they plan on something big happening, whether it's going to be targeted here in the United States, most likely. I wouldn't doubt it. Question is, who it's going to be blamed upon? And, man, this is going to get out of control. It's going to get out of control, and we're really going to have some type of uprising here. And I think this will lead to certain, conditions that, like, possibly this whole thing with the First Amendment and free speech and making commentary that a lot of people don't like, that you can't criticize or anything. So now they're using this as their way to go after you and attack you and arrest you and sue you. Alan Dershowitz, here you go. This is a Epstein lovable friend here. On Joe Kent, we're seeing an attempted coup with the Republican Party. Neo-Nazi fascists now are led by Kent and then also by Tucker Carlson, Fuentes, and Onis. First of all, Kent is not a neo-Nazi fascist, okay? He's not, all right? Maybe something else is going on with him. I don't know. I'm not defending him. I don't like what he did. I don't like his actions. But in some way, now they're using that to go after everybody else and paint the brush, which is another I think a negative trope to attack us, to bring us down in some way. Like I said, I'm not defending Fuentes or Owens or Tucker or Kent, but they're utilizing this type of terminology so they could say this, but you don't like what someone else says that may in some way classify Israel as problematic. Okay.
The coup within the Republican Party by neo-Nazi fascists led by Kemp, who is a clear neo-Nazi fascist, and then also Tucker Carlson, by Fuentes, by Owens. We're seeing an attempt by these neo-Nazis to take over the Republican Party. Fortunately, good Republicans, headed by President Trump, are stopping it. And President Trump said these people are not mad.
When was the last time you saw a black woman that's a neo-Nazi? I mean, seriously.
These people are not my people, but they're trying to take over the Republican Party. And Kent blames Jews for everything. You know, he blamed the Jews for the Iraq War. Israel was against the Iraq War. I know because I spoke to Prime Minister Sharon. He spoke to President Bush and urged him not to go into Iraq. But according to Kent, anything that was bad had to be the Jews. This has to end. The Republican Party has to disassociate itself from its fascist neo-Nazi wing, which is growing within the Republican Party, particularly among young people. And it's a real threat to America, to democracy.
No, it's a real threat to you.
Jews, to Israel.
It's a threat to you in Israel. To see the pro-Israel psyop versus the anti-Israel psyop, it's competing right now. It's competing. Don't put yourself in it. Don't get involved in it. Stay far away from it. Let it unfurl on its own. You can have your viewpoints, be critical, but don't put yourself to be invested in one way or another. See it objectively, call it out, maybe subjectively at time and time again. But again, I don't really, when I look at this stuff in some way, that's their response to this. I'm not a fan of Kent. I don't like Kent. I don't like what he did. I don't know if I can trust him. I was only plausibly suggesting that he might have some type of standing, all right, for the defense of Tyler Robinson. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Does anybody know Tyler Robinson did anything wrong? Okay, can you prove that he did it? And, you know, now this has become such a hot button issue is now they're throwing out all these different particulars and trying to get you sucked into it, Marshall.
The history of people like Dershowitz and his group, where they come from, they have a history of being involved in the mafia, organized crime, prostitution, stealing, everything you can think of, where they can, the banking, of course, they find ways. The easiest way to get money is to steal it. That's flipping coins. Look that one up. They had to make the richest coins for a reason. People don't know that.
Right.
These people have such such a history of organized criminal activity that you have to be very careful around them. And I believe that is why Trump has been playing this thing out the way we have been seeing it.
Oh, yeah. So you're going to see more of this as Trucker Friend puts this out. America's civil war progresses over the next few years. I told you this was coming, and you're going to see it. The first anti-Semitic internet arrests are being made, and this happened in Michigan. America is cooked.
Felt empowered and emboldened enough to put this picture of me up to try to threaten and intimidate me, which, of course, he didn't do because I signed up for this. And by the way, the person that did this said a bunch of terrible things, not just against me, but against a lot of groups and individuals, who, by the way, was arrested today in Wisconsin. My point is this, though.
For what?
If this person is emboldened and empowered enough or feels safe enough to do this for me, what does he do to a kid? What does he do to a Jewish family walking down the street? And that's because of the normalization of this, watching this on television and saying, okay, I feel empowered enough that I can do this. Well, A, you can't. And B, if you think you can do it to somebody that's in law enforcement, again, what are you going to do in an alley or in a street to a Jewish family or a kid walking down the street? We say no. We're drawing the line.
We're drawing the line. What was he charged with? What was he charged with? My God, I'm worried about our free speech.
You know what? I read about. Looked up this, and the guy, they arrested him. They hassled him. They didn't like what he did, but he had prior warrants.
Okay.
So they were able to use that, and then put this on TV and blow it up. And make it all about anti-Semitism. What did that have anything to do with the arrest?
Yeah, but wouldn't it be beneficial to say he had warrants out for him or all these other things
not
that you're
for them though? That's the thing, Brett.
Yeah, well,
Not
because they
for
want to
them.
make sure that their position is
The
that
narrative.
the narrative, your free speech, anything in this way can be controlled, and we have the upper hand here. That's disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting. And here's another disgusting thing. This is Lionel. Lionel Nation's been covering everything and anything about Candace Owens, Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk. If you go any watch his shows, it's all the time. It's amazing. Candace Owens tells the FBI director's girlfriend, "You're a clinical retard." This is when she dropped that whole menage of stuff. I would say stick to your country music, but you kind of suck at that too. I mean, it's just insane. I you know what, to a certain point, why are you putting this stuff out here? All this stuff, all this other propaganda or agitprop out there for people to see. I mean, why isn't it that the boyfriend is doing it? Isn't he the FBI director and letting people know? Isn't his responsibility to put this stuff out there in some way? Why did he have his girlfriend do it?
It's like imagining Cash Patel as a cowboy. Think about that. I mean,
Yeah.
you got an Indian guy from India as a cowboy.
Yeah.
Come on, that's what the whole thing with his girlfriend.
No.
He looks about his country as, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, she don't look. Yeah, I've never heard her music, but she ain't no Daisy Duke girl. I'll just leave it at that.
I can't get this up, man. All right, here. All right. And I'll show you one more thing before
Got a
we
nugget.
dip out.
All right.
This was the one thing that I thought of, and this was the big thing. This came from Ingersoll Lockwood. If you go to their website, I get stuff from them all the time. 1717 Pennsylvania Avenue, City of Washington, blah, blah, blah. Operation currently under frequent attack. Status: we do not provide files or attachments in any form. What does that look like? If you follow Ingersoll, and definitely not a noun, it takes us 2 seconds to track down what and who's behind it. Yep. I don't know. I mean, it's just odd in some way. Highlight the white section. It's a UFO. Inside Hitler's secret hideout. I'm going back to New Berlin.
The Antarctica.
Yep.
What
New
was
book
going
was
on up there?
Nazi
Why
UFOs. Yep.
Why aren't we allowed to go there?
It's just odd in some way that they put that out there. And I'm like, okay. And a lot of people are highlighting that. I mean, I don't know what it necessarily means. I mean, does it mean that we're going to get some type of, information maybe about it? I mean, you want to talk about something that's classified that we can't even know about it. I mean, anything regarding what's behind that wall is just quite extraordinary. That we
well,
can't
aren't they the
find.
ones that produced that book about Barron Trump and the
Not
travels?
them. Well, no, Ingersoll Lockwood. Yeah, I mean, but I don't think it's
Was
them. It's yeah. It seems like in some way that it was them in some
Seems
way.
really, yeah. There was that book about the Barron
But it
Trump
wasn't them.
travels.
The company, the company was not. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't them per se. That's what I'm saying. But
Well,
no.
it reminds me of it. So it's very interesting, the whole thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot of shit, Brad, coming up.
Oh, I look forward to it. I mean, I hope
see a
people
lot
can
of
understand
things.
what I'm saying. Yeah, they took his name, correct. I also think there's somebody in there that that is a relative of Lockwood, Sam Lockwood, the author. They took his name. Yeah, I think so too. I also think they have something with something to do with some type of time travel. I don't know. For some reason, I get that. I don't know why I get that, but that's something I always like associated with. They have their hands in a lot of stuff. So I don't know, and it's a very weird, odd semblance. They're right there by the White House.
Antarctica, man, that's got so many. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just want. I want to know that. I want to know that. See, I don't want to hear about. If we're going to get a declassification and stuff from Trump, I'd like to know what's behind the wall. I like to know about all that stuff. Is that what we're going to get? I'd love it. Candace Owens and Savannah Guthrie both have boots on. You know what that means? Yes, I did see that. Tracking boots. Yep.
Oh God.
You never know. You never know. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. Again, that was tonight's show. I mean, the ambiguous signals. You can't believe a goddamn thing. I mean, I don't know what to believe, who to believe anymore. And when you consider that, you have to ask yourself, this is where we're in. We're in this maze. We're in this, this mist, this fog of war, so to speak, to wag the dog. We don't know what's up, what's not. I mean, everybody can see what Joe Kent did and how he did it, and it was not good. Whether or not his relevancy, getting involved in the Charlie Kirk hearing is going to unfold in the way that he's saying, if the defense is going to call him as a witness, I'll be shocked. I will be totally shocked. So I dropped the pills. I want to thank everybody out there. Marshall, final thoughts before we dip out?
No, I mean, it's just going to get crazier as we go.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I'm sure we'll have plenty Friday.
Yep, we'll have a ton in there, and we'll get into the weekend. Have a great night. Be well, be safe, be smart. Ciao, Bella. We'll see you Friday.